Welcome to Lesson 8 of the Docker Beginner's Guide. This is where your workflow really levels up. Until now, every container meant another Docker run, another set of flags, another network to wire up by hand. Compose collapses all of that into a single YAML file, one text document that describes your whole stack brought up with one command. Same Docker you already know, just written down once and run together. So here's where we're headed. 4 concrete skills. First, you'll learn to read a compose YAML fluently. Services, networks, volumes, all in one place. Second, the up and down lifecycle. The same logs, PS, and exec you already know, just scope to the whole stack. Third, wiring services together with depends on and automatic DNS. That's Lesson 5's networking, but free. And fourth, overrides and profiles. So the same project runs in dev and prod without forking it. And to make the case concrete, look at what we're collapsing. On the left, 5 separate Docker run incantations. Create a network, start the database with its password and volume, start the cache, start the app with another handful of flags. On the right, the exact same stack, written once as a compose file. Same containers, same networks, same volumes. But now it lives in your repo instead of your shell history. So what's actually in that file? Just 3 top-level keys: services, networks, and volumes. Services are your containers, networks are the wires between them, and volumes hold the data you want to keep. And honestly, most projects only ever touch services. Networks and volumes have sensible defaults, so you opt in only when you need them. On the right, the common keys inside a service map, almost one-to-one to flags you already know: image, build, ports, environment, volumes, and depends on for start order. With the file written, you drive the whole stack with one verb, up. In the foreground, it streams logs, add D, and it boots in the background, which is what you'll actually use day to day. Notice the order in that output. Network first, then the volume, then DB, cache, and finally web. Compose walks the dependency graph for you, and when you're done, down reverses the whole thing. Containers and networks gone in one command. In between, PS tells you what's alive, logs, ftails, every service at once. Exec drops you into a shell, and restart cycles just one service without touching the rest. Now here's the payoff. The shape of basically every web app you'll ever build written down once. nginx out front on port 80, a Node API on 3000, Postgres holding your data, Redis for cache. Look at how the API talks to its dependencies. Postgres, app.secret db 5432, and Redis, cache, SHA-6379. Those host names, db, cache, are just the service names from this file. Compose stood up a network in Lesson 05 terms and registered DNS for you for free. But you don't want bind mounts and debug ports in production, and you shouldn't need 2 copies of this file to avoid them. Compose handles that with layering. Drop a composed override.yaml next to your base file, and Docker Compose Up merges them automatically. That's your dev setup with source mounted in and the debugger exposed. For prod, you're explicit. Pass f compose.yaml, f prod, YAML, and you get the pinned image, production env 3 replicas. Same base, different envelope. Once layering clicks, here are 6 small moves that pay off daily. Profiles let you tag optional services, seed scripts, and admin UI, so they only start when you ask with a profile. Healthchecks plus depends on. Condition, service healthy, mean your app waits for the database to actually be ready, not just running. Pull secrets into a .env file so they're out of YAML. Scale a stateless service with scale web ts. Run Docker Compose config to see the fully merged file before you ship, and Docker Compose watch auto syncs code into the container. No daemon for anything. And here's the whole lesson on one screen, 12 patterns worth pinning above your desk. The top row is your daily loop. Up, D to start, down to stop, Add V when you actually want the volumes gone. Below that, the inspection trio, PS, logs, F, and logs F web for a single service. Then the surgical tools, shell in with exec, restart just one service, rebuild without running. And when something feels off, Docker Compose config shows you the merged truth before you ship. Now for the traps. 5 mistakes I see in code review every single week. Depends on only orders startup. It doesn't wait for postgres to actually accept connections, so pair it with a health check. The hyphenated Docker Compose is the old binary. Drop the hyphen. Never hard-code passwords in YAML, push them to a gitignored or NV. Remember that volumes survive down, so schema changes need down VE. And each project gets its own network, so cross-project talk requires an external one. Time to put hands on keys. 3 exercises building up. First, a 2-service setup, nginx and redis, then exec into a 3rd container and ping redis by name to feel the network magic from lesson 05. Second, a real app plus database with a named volume, so you can stop everything, restart, and watch your row survive. Third, poke around with PS, logs, and config, then tear it down, once without V, once with, and see for yourself what persistence really means. And that's lesson 08. 1 YAML file, the whole stack, services, networks, volumes, all declared once and brought up with a single command. Next up, lesson 09, logs and debug. Because Compose is great until something breaks at 2 in the morning, and when it does, you'll want the triage toolkit. Logs, exec, inspect, stats. See you there.